Welcome to Finding Danny Lightfoot, the podcast where we explore the mystery of Joe Torres, who played Danny Lightfoot on Nickelodeon's Hey Dude. I'm your host, Luke Pickard, with my longtime friend John Kimball. Join us as we conduct interviews, explore clues, and celebrate the legacy that was Hey Dude. Yippee-ki-yay, let's go.
Here on Finding Danny Lightfoot, our goal is to locate the actor Joe Torres, who portrayed Danny Lightfoot on the television series Hey Dude back in the late 80s and early 90s. Importantly, we like to say, and I think this is kind of key to the success that we're about to describe, we're not trying to dox Joe Torres. We're not trying to reveal information about Joe Torres that has not yet been revealed. We are trying to locate him, trying to figure out what he's been up to. And listen, I don't know that I can hold out on this any longer. A lot of you probably already know.
Hold on. Let's get some cheesy effects here.
So we did it. We found Joe. Joe's coming to SplatCon.
And he's appearing with everyone else except for David Brisbane on a Hey Dude panel. John and I are still a little bit in disbelief because we've had this goal. And how long has it been that we've been trying to do this, John?
Luke and I have talked about this for a long time. Luke has made some concrete efforts over the years. Tried to do fundraising for a documentary. Didn't get any funds.
Hey, now, I got $45 from my friends, which ultimately all got refunded.
And then the podcast medium came to be, and Luke and I started talking, and we thought, maybe this is a way we could do it. It's actually not going to cost us any money, and we can just see what happens. We solved the mystery. I mean, that was the goal of our podcast. That's been a goal that Luke and I have shared for 20 years. And as this is all unraveling and public posts are being made and now the news is being spread, we just wanted to be clear that, we did it. We did it.
Right. And this is the result of a lot of hard work by not only John and I, but others that have also helped us along our journey that we have either talked about or we have left out because of their request, or maybe even those that we're going to talk about later on in this podcast. So we want to provide a little bit of a backstory here for those who have not been able to listen to our previous episodes, particularly the first episode where we covered a lot of the history here. I know we joke around a lot on this podcast, but we don't want that to take away from how serious we have been with this goal and the effort that we have put into this podcast and everything else surrounding it. This podcast is the result of a 30-year journey that started in the early 2000s when John and I were still college roommates. During that time, we began to talk about starting this cross-country tour to reunite the cast. We had hoped that this journey would spark a full reunion or possibly even a reboot of the show. Our idea quickly became the top thread on IMDb, and then in 2015, we released a documentary trailer to raise funds for the project. Although it didn't come to fruition, now, nearly 3 decades later, in 2024, we've brought that dream to life with this podcast. After all these years, we finally found Mr. Torres, who played Danny Lightfoot on Hey Dude. What's even more incredible is that there is a wide margin between the goal that John and I set for this podcast and the reality of where we are today. What I mean by that is if you listen to the earlier episodes, you'll hear that the goals that we had were to just make sure that he is alive and just get some sort of closure on this mystery that has persisted for 30 years. But if you've been keeping up with the developments of SplatCon, you'll see that Mr. Torres is obviously not only okay, but he's coming to SplatCon and he's going to sign autographs. He's going to participate in a panel and presumably answer questions. Who knows what he'll answer and what he'll avoid answering, but the sheer fact that he's going to be there is just incredible to us. So how did this podcast, Finding Danny Lightfoot, make that happen?
Really, it was kind of two pieces of the investigation coming together. Luke was able to speak with 2 different people who know Joe currently. So things these people were saying were not outlandish. They described a reasonable storyline to what happened to Joe Torres.
And then in one of my conversations with Miss Debbie Coleman, who played Lucy on Hey Dude, she recommended that I let her share my contact information with Allison Tygiel, who is the sister of Josh Tygiel, who played Buddy on Hey Dude. See how all of these things are coming together now? So, of course, I allowed Miss Debbie to share my information with Allison. And that afternoon, Allison and I had a conversation, and the rest is pretty much history.
Again, we've talked about this kind of connection of the present day to the past and needing to have someone from the past to kind of confirm. I mean, we can look at all the photos we want. We can say, well, that could be him. It's a common name. I don't know. I mean, we've actually done that. I mean, there's been pictures, we talked about the car salesman, but there's been other pictures of Joe Torres's, and we kind of stare at them. We're like, could that be him?
John brings up a good point. None of the rumors about Mr. Torres's locations were in Los Angeles or Nashville. Otherwise, John or I could have easily gone and either confirmed them or put the rumors to rest. Of course, they were in North Carolina or New Jersey or Tucson, and we didn't have anyone there that could actually go and do some of the research that we needed to be done. And so Allison was great because she was willing to not only go to one of the locations that we thought Mr. Torres was, but also had a past history with him, and so was able to confirm immediately that he was actually there. So we're certainly trying to get Allison scheduled in one of our future podcasts that will happen after SplatCon. So obviously, John and I have a plethora of questions that we want to ask the cast, but specifically for Joe, I think there's a couple of questions that I wanted to ask and that John wanted to ask that we want to share with you, not only for you guys to be aware, but also for a record so that we can look back on it and see how much of this we actually got addressed. Remember, again, we don't know if we're going to be able to talk to him at all. Hopefully we will, and hopefully we'll have enough time to ask him all of these questions, but we really don't know. So I want to ask, did he always go by Joe or Jose, and why some people call him one thing and some people call him the other? Did he know about the search to find him? Who encouraged him to audition, or was it himself that just wanted to do it? Has anyone reached out to him about, hey, dude, since the wrap of the show to participate in anything? And why did he decline? Why is he coming out now after all these years? Does he have a lot of family? Does he have kids? Is he married, grandkids, etc.? What do you do for a living? What are some of the things that you've done? Has he ever been involved in real estate, car sales? Has he ever been dead? Has he ever been abducted by aliens? Has he ever been the coach of a Major League Baseball team? Things like that. What are your best memories of this show is a question I think that I'd like to know. Who was he close to on the set? Is he upset that he was found in any way? I don't think he would be, but I'd be curious to know. Was he upset that he didn't come sooner? Does he play pool? Is he any good at pool? When's the last time that he went to the set? What did he think about the set when he went? Do you care if people know where you are now? Would you ever consider doing the show again, like a reboot? Does he travel any? Would he consider another conference like SplatCon or 90s Con? Does he have a favorite episode? Why did he get out of acting? Was his effort to stay out of the spotlight active or passive? Is there anyone that he wants us to reach out to for him? We had talked about he had been known to draw on the set. Does he still do that? Would he consider doing it for commission? I'd be curious to know about his health, if he'd be willing to share that. Is he healthy for the most part? Does he have any favorite foods or movies? And does he actually have any Native American roots that he knows about? Those are some of the ones that I think I've thought about that I'll probably try to ask, but we'll see how many of those he actually answers. John, what about you? What do you want to ask?
All those are great. Yeah, I don't know what kind of access we'll get to them, but all those are great. And thinking about what you said about the reboot, one advantage that they have, that a dwindling number of these shows have, is they're all alive and they're all seemingly in good health. So, I mean, it's possible. They did a weird like movie version of Legends of the Hidden Temple a couple of years ago. So like the idea that they couldn't put together a little return to the bar none, it's not impossible.
Or at least a commercial or a promo, like how Bryan Cranston did at the end of Breaking Bad. He went back and filmed an additional scene as Heisenberg, but he was in the home of Hal from Malcolm in the Middle next to Lois, freaking out, thinking he was a drug dealer, etc., which was really entertaining and hilarious, of course. And man, there's so many platforms nowadays like Hulu and Netflix and Paramount that bring back some of these TV shows. They will revive them because there is strong demand, or they want to expand their library, or want to have exclusive content. So it's certainly possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know, a lot of the people that we've sort of connected to him through. One of the two people was someone who had posted on a couple of forums saying, "Yeah, I know him," and we were able to get in touch with this person and talk to them about Joe or Jose, and they knew that this was the guy from Hey Dude, and it wasn't because they were a big Hey Dude fan. It's because Joe or Jose, he had told them, "Yeah, I was Danny Lightfoot on Hey Dude," or he probably didn't know Lightfoot was his last name, but he probably said I was Danny on Hey Dude. I'm curious, like, what is his relationship now to the show? And you got at that a little bit in some of your questions, but like, has he watched the show? When was the
Question.
last time he watched an episode of it? What is his like lasting memory? Does he now want to watch it because it makes him feel some type of way, Or is it that it was just something he did a long time ago? He just doesn't really care. I mean, that's kind of similar to your like, is it an active or is it a passive hiding that's been going
Hmm.
on for 35 years? That type of question I really just want to know the answer to. And I'm hopeful that in less than a week, we can finally know after so long whether it was, whether he had some bad memories associated with the show or whether his life since the show has made him reflect more poorly on the show because like he wasn't able to go forward with a career in the entertainment industry. And maybe he didn't care and just like went back to his normal life. And he just said, acting is not for me. Like it was fine, but I want to do something else different with my life. And we're very close, I think, to having those answers. It's possible he'll be like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Plead the fifth, etc.
Yep, for sure. I hope he does answer, but who knows? We'll see. I'm kind of looking forward to the questions that some of the people that are at the panel ask. I'm really curious what they'll come up with. So we're probably going to wrap this episode up a little sooner than we normally would because we don't have a lot of content other than what we've already shared. So anything you want to add before we go?
Ultimately, we all won. And that was the personality of Danny. He was always bringing people together. If it meant making fun of Ted a little bit in order to show that he was not biased toward Ted or trying to reason with Mr. Ernst about some cultural things and sociological things that Mr. Ernst didn't understand. His character, Danny Lightfoot, was always about bringing people together. And years later, Joe Torres brought two longtime friends together as we went on this journey together and we tried to find him. And the success that we had and the fact that we did
Mhm.
find him, I will never forget. I will carry it with me into my dying day.
That's awfully nice of you, John. Same here.
We did it.
We'll certainly have more things in the future that we can reflect on as well.
True. But ultimately, whether he knew it or not, he brought a group of people together, a group of people who loved that show. One day they just searched on Google or searched on Alta Vista, it goes back that far, or searched on Yahoo or whatever. Hey, where's Joe Torres from Hey Dude? And they saw the thing. Nobody knows where he is. And maybe some of those, 90% of those people probably went on with their lives, never thought about it again. But 10% of those people, they carried that thought with them. That's weird. That's strange. Nobody knows what happened to him. And I read on the internet forums for a while, and it's very interesting. Nobody knows what happened to him. Some people say he's a car salesman, some people say he's abducted by aliens, etc. There's a community of people that have built up around this mystery and have been wondering whether it's in the back of their mind or the front of their mind. They've been wondering for years and years, where is he? A few days ago, before this is published, a few days ago, the answer was discovered. And it's kind of a beautiful thing. A lot of people wondering for decades about a mystery, and then the mystery being solved. So I don't know. That's what I would say. Joe was lost, and he's been found, and we're
Yep.
going to learn about what happened in the intervening years.
Super, super excited about it. Well, that is all for episode 8 of Finding Danny Lightfoot, the podcast. Sorry that this one is a little shorter than usual, but we wanted to get this out for the conference this weekend. Enjoy your weekend, and we will be back as soon as we can with more updates. Thank you.